We're just delighted to have with us today former Congresswoman and now President of South Dakota School of Mines and Technology in Rapid City, South Dakota. She takes over the job June 17th and will be leaving the community. We're happy to get an exit interview from Heather Wilson. Hi, Heather, how are you?
I'm doing great. I got my second cup of coffee going.
Yeah, this
Getting
is
caffeinated.
I'm so excited for you and
I know,
your
what an
opportunity.
amazing opportunity.
It's a wonderful school. It's a great school, and it's a great opportunity to I always want to do things that make a difference, and it's a school that makes a difference to its students and to the community.
Right. So how have you been feeling? I mean, when you got the call and they wanted you to move, what was your first reaction?
Well, it was a whole series of interviews. I think actually my first reaction was kind of disbelief, because I went, I was looking in higher education, and you have to find the right fit. And while it seemed to be in some ways the right fit, I'm not a PhD scientist or engineer, and I don't have a work history in academia. I'm kind of an academic with a non-academic work history, but they really thought they needed a leader, and I've got a variety of experiences that made them say, in fact, what he said was, well, I'm about to screw up your life. He said, we'd like to offer you the job, and it was unanimous. Particularly the faculty, I was, concerned that I wanted to make sure that I went in with enough support to address the challenges that all schools are facing.
I'm spotting a trend here with former Governor Gary Carruthers getting a college presidency, and now you. What's going
Gary
on
and
here?
I have talked about it on the phone.
You?
And he came to my house for supper a couple of weeks ago. But the good thing is that we do not play them in basketball or football. We're pretty small. We have it's a Division II school, but we do compete against them in engineering. Concrete canoes and UAVs. The kids do all these competitive engineering projects, and they built a Formula One race car. They built a human-powered vehicle. And they recently went down to New Mexico State for one of the competitions there for a robot that has to do certain things. And
now, here's the race car. It's on screen now.
Yeah,
that's pretty neat.
So what's that about?
Formula One car.
Is it really?
Wow.
And they built this?
They built this. They got sponsors for it, and then they compete against other engineering schools. The one that's on the screen now, I think that's the solar car that they came up with.
Yeah, that's a solar car.
Oh, this is neat.
I saw on the school's website they're building a concrete airplane. They're doing all kinds of...
That was just in the New York Times. And I met the professor. I thought that was so cool. The professor's just retiring, and he knows everything about concrete, and he has told me it's not I mistakenly used the word cement, and he just
he went nuts.
No, ma'am.
But he's retiring, and he donated all of his sick pay accumulated over 30 years to an endowment for the School of Mines, and he's going off, believe it or not, to Mongolia for a year to teach in their civil engineering program. We actually have a close relationship with Mongolia as a developing country and needs a lot of infrastructure, and we have faculty that go back and forth.
So what do you think will be one of the biggest challenges in this new position?
Well, we have it's a growing school, which is a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
But our freshman class this year will be at least 10, maybe 15% larger than last year. It's been growing for the last 3 or 4 years. So you've got to stay in front of, you've got to build the dorms, you've got to make sure we get enough classrooms. Because one of the things about the school is that it's pretty low cost, and the 96% of the kids who graduated last year had a job or a slot at graduate school on graduation day.
Oh, wow.
And an average starting salary of $62,000 a year.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's
Which is
almost
better than
unheard
Harvard.
of these days.
Yeah, that's better than Harvard.
Better than Harvard, and it's we educate and prepare for leadership, scientists and engineers, for the problems of the next century. So we've got to keep up with the growth, and we do it at a price that families can afford. So out-of-state tuition.
Yeah.
Tuition, room, board, fees, feed, clothing, not clothing, but housing, the whole thing. $18,000 a year.
Oh my gosh.
That's a deal.
That's
really
a really good deal. Really
being
good
a
deal.
top school like that too.
For a great school.
And
it's
the area, we've got some shots of the campus, and the area looks
Beautiful
really beautiful.
area.
the Black Hills of South Dakota are right next to Rapid City, and I'd never seen Rushmore before.
Yeah.
But Mount Rushmore is about
There's the Black
25
Hills.
minutes from the campus.
Oh, wow.
And so it reminds me a lot of northern New Mexico. The eastern part of South Dakota is pretty flat and agricultural, like eastern New Mexico. But the Black Hills are very beautiful.
As you went through the interview process with this institution, and you saw what they had and what they're doing, I get the sense you kind of wanted the job, didn't you?
I did, and the
Yeah.
more as I said, you kind of try to find the right fit. The more I learned about them, and the more I met the people.
Yeah.
It's just a very collegial campus. People are nice to each other. The
2,400
students
students, that's what I saw.
They have quite a
Small
few foreign
community.
students.
Yeah.
And it's very veteran. The Air Force Times just published a little piece. They look at 650 schools across the country to see how friendly they are for veterans and military. It's number 2 in the country
Wow.
for being friendly and supportive of military and veterans. And we have about 200 veterans and active duty service members on campus. So it's you just kind of, you get that feeling that I think this might be the right place.
But okay, so what though is going to be the biggest thing you're going to miss from New Mexico?
I'm
The
already
chili.
looking for green chili suppliers.
Yeah. Have them on auto ship every
Yeah,
month.
that's right. Just sign up for the program. Just to,
How are you dealing with this family-wise? Can you talk about that a little bit?
well, we have 3 children. Our oldest son is an adult, and he's on his own. Our number 2 son starts college in August. Hard to believe, but he's going to be a freshman in college, and then and so he'll be on his own. And our daughter goes to high school here, and we gave her some options. We've lived in 2 cities before. This time, more of my family would be commuting rather than me back and forth to Washington. But I served in Congress for 10 years,
Yeah.
and we never moved to Washington. So
Right.
it was a commuting situation, and we've told her we'll allow her to finish high school here, and we'll figure it out. It's
Yeah.
not that she doesn't have that long.
It's
to
an
go.
evolution.
Yeah.
And speaking of politics, how hard was it? Because I know a lot of people get into politics, and it's addicting. I've been there, and it's addicting. How hard is it to just kind of step away and say, I'm doing this?
For me, not hard at all,
No.
because for me, public service was always about service,
Yeah.
and it was about the mission. And this is a mission that I can be passionate about, and I think you should spend your life working on things that matter with people you like.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
and so
That's how you need to spend your time.
Yeah.
yeah,
Are you going to be a real hands-on, out among the students, president?
that's the best thing about this. And I had 5 college and high school interns who worked with me on the Senate campaign, and I think they're a gift. I've always thought that I would spend some time in higher education. Most Rhodes Scholars do, but their gift to me was the realization of just how much fun it is to be with young people, and particularly when they're. One of the things, this is not a party school.
Yeah.
These kids work really hard, and there are no fluff degrees at Mines.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to working with kids who, about half of them from South Dakota, many of them from very small towns. It's one of those schools that really changes lives. And I'm
Now
looking forward to it.
now that you're going to be a college president, you can have a voice in this matter. Not that Mines has this problem, but there's a higher education bubble going on in this country where college and university costs have just spiraled out of control.
Yep.
And you're probably getting familiar with that now. And you'll have a voice in that.
Yep.
And you can show where you can get a great education without spending a fortune. How do you feel about what's going on in other universities?
Well, I think it's absolutely a problem. The sticker price for
Yeah.
a college education is more and more difficult for middle-class families to justify.
Right.
And I know there are scholarships and other kinds of things, but there's been really no pressure until the last couple of years on colleges to control costs, keep the price down of a college education. And it shows up. Wall Street Journal had an article last week about independent liberal arts colleges for the first, the real decline between 10 and 20% of their acceptances in freshman class. We're going to see a reduction. Some of those colleges won't survive. Others will figure out how to control costs. But there was also a recent article, I think it was in Forbes, naming the top 25 schools in the country for return on investment. So over a lifetime. And the School of Mines was number 25 in the country.
Wow.
So it's, kids graduate, you can get a great solid meat and potatoes degree that can prepare you for a meaningful life without going into debt for 40 years.
We are just
great.
delighted you came to be with us today. Before you headed out, I'm thrilled for you. I really am. And congratulations. And we want to thank you for your service to this state as well. You
done so
poured
much
your heart
for
and
the
soul
state.
into it. How about a hand for
Thank
Heather
you.
Wilson, everybody? We're just